Welcome back to the channel, Valuable Coins HD, another incredible journey into the world of rare coins, where a simple piece of pocket change could secretly be worth a life-changing fortune. Today we're turning our attention to a coin so small and so commonly overlooked that most people would never think to study it twice, the Roosevelt Dime dated 1989. It's a coin that millions of Americans have spent at soda machines, handed over at grocery stores, or tossed into piggy banks without realizing some versions are so rare and unique that they command unbelievable prices in the world of passionate collectors. So get comfortable, pick up your magnifying glass, switch on your brightest light, and let's dive deep into everything you need to know about the 1989 Roosevelt Dime, because your next 10-cent coin could be worth so much more. The Roosevelt Dime has been in circulation since 1946, honoring one of America's most iconic presidents, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His profile was chosen not only for his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II, but also to commemorate his role in the March of Dimes campaign that helped to defeat the polio epidemic. That's why his bold, dignified portrait face is left on each dime, with the word Liberty proudly stamped beside him. Flip the coin and you'll spot the classic symbolism of a blazing torch of freedom, flanked by an olive branch of peace and an oak branch of strength. As the years rolled into 1989, this small silver-colored coin remained a staple of everyday commerce, yet among the huge number struck that year lurk incredible rarities that even experienced collectors dream of finding. So what makes certain 1989 Roosevelt dimes valuable? It all starts with the mint mark, a tiny letter just above the year on the obverse of the coin. AP indicates the Philadelphia Mint, AD stands for Denver, and an S means the coin was struck in San Francisco. Coins from San Francisco were typically proof coins, manufactured with extraordinary care using polished dies and special procedures, resulting in glassy backgrounds and frosted designs that are simply breathtaking under the light. These proof dimes were intended for collectors and never supposed to circulate, so if one somehow made its way into ordinary change and survived in pristine condition, that alone could make it highly valuable. However, the most jaw-dropping discoveries come from rare mint errors, unusual flukes during the minting process that produced coins unlike any others and therefore extremely attractive to collectors. A 1989 dime potentially worth a fortune might display a dramatic error such as a double die strike. That's when the coin's design elements like the date, lettering, or Roosevelt's profile look subtly doubled under magnification. Another is called an off-center strike, where part of the design is shifted and some portion of the coin looks blank or unevenly shaped. Even rarer are the legendary rond-planchette strikes, where a dime was accidentally created on a blank intended for another coin, such as a foreign denomination or a US penny or nickel. These errors leave behind telltale signs: strange weight, unexpected metal color, odd thickness, or incorrect rim pattern. Each of these mistakes is extremely rare, and because they are true one-of-a-kind accidents, collectors will pay extraordinary prices to own them, especially if they're preserved in uncirculated, mint-state condition. So how do you begin looking for a valuable 1989 Roosevelt dime? First, study the condition. A truly valuable dime will still look almost brand new, with strong frosty mint luster that reflects light like a swirl. The high points, Roosevelt's hair curls, cheek, and jawline, should appear sharp rather than flattened from pocket wear. Turn the coin over and check the torch. A valuable example will show crisp flame detail and clean-cut oak and olive leaves. Look next at the edges. A dime in mint condition has full-formed, sharply cut ridges known as reading, not smoothed-out edges. Once the coin passes the visual test, grab a jeweler's loupe or microscope to check closely for doubling, clipping, rim errors, and misaligned features. If anything looks unusual, it's worth comparing to known error examples or having the coin graded by a professional. Don't forget to weigh it with a precise digital scale. A standard clad dime should weigh around 2.27 grams. Anything significantly lighter or heavier could indicate a rond-planchette error. Check the diameter too. If it slightly differs from the standard 17.91 mm size, that could be another flashing warning that your coin is something truly rare. These small details can mean the difference between an ordinary coin and one that could make headlines. Across America, collectors have unearthed incredible finds in coin rolls from their local banks, inside old piggy banks stored in attics, in inherited jars of change from grandparents, and even slipped unintentionally into change from everyday purchases. That's what makes coin hunting so thrilling. The next big discovery could belong to anyone, anywhere, at any time. So before you casually spend that dime dated 1989, stop and inspect it carefully. Today we're focusing on a coin that most people pay with and forget, a tiny 10-cent piece that can easily slip through your fingers, but if you happen to find the right one, your life could change overnight. I'm talking about the Roosevelt Dime dated 1974, a year when millions were struck and put into circulation across the United States. At first glance, it appears ordinary, but some special examples from this year are so unique, so rare, and so highly sought after that collectors are willing to pay eye-watering sums for them. So grab your magnifying glass and get ready, because we're about to dive into all the hidden secrets that could turn an ordinary 1974 dime into an unforgettable jackpot. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a leader who helped guide America through the Great Depression and World War II, and whose fight against polio inspired the famous March of Dimes campaign. On every dime, Roosevelt's proud profile is stamped alongside words like liberty and "In God We Trust," symbolizing American values of courage, resilience, and freedom. Turn the coin over and you'll find a flaming torch standing tall between an olive branch of peace and an oak branch of strength, a beautiful reminder that, even in the smallest of spaces, great symbolism can be packed into U.S. currency. But while most people handle these coins daily without a second thought, the truth is that not all Roosevelt dimes are created equal, and the 1974 minting holds some jaw-dropping surprises. Let's start with the mint mark, which is an incredibly small but important clue. Just above the year on the obverse of the coin, you'll find a letter. If it says P, it came from the Philadelphia Mint. A D means Denver. And an S tells you it was struck in San Francisco, which is especially exciting because San Francisco produced proof coins, special, sharp, mirror-like versions meant mainly for collectors. These proof coins were struck on polished planchets and often kept out of circulation. If somehow one escaped and survives untouched in public usage, it immediately becomes valuable. Yet even more electrifying are the rare error coins, accidental misprints created during the minting process that make the 1974 dime a truly hot item in the world of numismatics. Some of the rarest and most expensive 1974 dimes come from dramatic minting mistakes. One type is called a double die, where parts of the design, like the lettering in Liberty or the date, appear ghost-like, slightly doubled because the die struck the coin twice at different angles. Another error is the off-center strike, in which the design is shifted so far that the edge of the coin appears blank or uneven. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin. Then there are the rarest of all, wrong planchet errors, where a Roosevelt dime was accidentally struck on a metal blank meant for another type of coin entirely, such as a foreign coin or even a U.S. penny. These strange pieces often weigh differently, have unusual colors, or carry odd diameters. Each one is truly unique, making them treasures worth thousands to collectors hungry for one-of-a-kind pieces. So how can you identify whether your 1974 dime might be one of these special and valuable coins? Start with condition. A high-value dime will almost always be in exceptionally well-preserved condition. We call this mint state. It should gleam with bright mint luster that swirls in the light, showing no scratches or dull patches from circulation. Study Roosevelt's hair. Can you clearly see the detail in every strand? Are his cheek and jawline full and sharply defined? Then look at the torch on the reverse. The flames should look crisp and sharp, and the leaves of both flanking branches should be detailed and bold. After that, examine the rim. A top-quality coin will still show strong, pronounced reading around the edge and won't feel worn down to the touch. Once you've confirmed the coin looks mint fresh, it's time to get out your jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass. Inspect the date numbers closely for doubling. Look at the word Liberty, checking each letter for any shadow-like repetition. Examine the entire surface for misaligned edges, missing partial designs, or chunks removed from the rim, all signs of valuable errors. Finally, use a small digital scale to weigh the coin. A normal copper-nickel-clad 1974 dime should weigh approximately 2.27 grams. If your coin weighs more or less, or if it looks slightly different in thickness or diameter, you may have a rare wrong planchet strike worth a fortune. Across the United States, many people have discovered valuable 1974 Roosevelt dimes in extremely unexpected places: inherited jars from grandparents, rolls picked up at local banks for change counters, bags of coins bought at flea markets, even coins casually handed back after buying a coffee. That's the thrill of this hobby. You never know when or where a fortune might appear. Sometimes the rarest coins are hiding in plain sight, sitting quietly in a dusty corner waiting for someone with a sharp eye to recognize them. Today our attention is locked on a coin so small and so ordinary that most of us overlook it countless times a day, the Roosevelt dime dated 1990. You might think there's nothing particularly special about a dime from the early 1990s, but what if I told you that some rare versions of this tiny coin are worth eye-watering sums of money that could change your life forever? Grab your magnifying glass, turn on your brightest light, and let's uncover all the secret details that could turn an everyday 10-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Introduced in 1946, the Roosevelt Dime pays tribute to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, not just for guiding America through the Great Depression and World War II, but also for his passionate support of the March of Dimes, which helped eradicate polio. The obverse side of the coin proudly displays his distinguished profile with the word liberty shining above, a symbol of the American spirit. On the reverse sits a blazing torch of freedom flanked by an olive branch of peace and an oak branch of strength, showing that even in small currency, powerful messages of resilience and determination shine through. By the time 1990 rolled around, most of these dimes were churned out in massive quantities and sent across the nation to be used in everyday transactions. But hidden among these millions are a handful of extremely rare specimens coveted by collectors around the world. Everything begins with the mint mark, that tiny letter located just above the year on the obverse. If your 1990 dime has a P, it came from the Philadelphia Mint, a D shows it was made in Denver, and an S identifies the famed San Francisco Mint, where special proof coins were struck using polished dies, creating mirror-like backgrounds and frosty designs meant only for collectors. These proof coins were never intended to circulate, so if you find one somehow still in mint condition, that alone could add real value, especially if the coin remained untouched for decades. But even more exciting and valuable than proof coins are the mysterious mint error dimes, unplanned rarities that slip through production with strange flaws, making them highly desirable to serious collectors. Some of the most sought after 1990 Roosevelt dimes show stunning minting errors. These might include double die strikes, where letters or numbers appear slightly doubled because the die stamped the coin twice at different angles, or off-center strikes, where the design is shifted, leaving a section of the coin blank or oddly shaped. Even rarer are wrong planchet errors, where the dime was accidentally struck on a blank of foreign currency or another U.S. denomination. These flawed pieces can weigh differently, appear oddly thin or thick, or even have unusual coloring. Since each error coin is effectively unique, collectors treat them like works of art, especially if the dime remains in brilliant mint state condition, showing no signs of wear or circulation. So how do you check if your 1990 dime might be one of these incredible rarities? Start with the basics. Condition matters enormously. Hold your coin under a bright light and look for original mint luster, that shiny cartwheel effect that spins across the surface when tilted. Study Roosevelt's cheek and hair. The finest coins will still have clearly defined curls and a bold sculpted profile, not flattened or dull from circulation. Flip the coin and examine the torch. Are the flame tips and tiny leaves still crisp and sharp? If so, you may be holding a coin in near perfect condition. Next, inspect the rim. Undamaged, complete ridges, also called reading, are a strong sign your coin has survived untouched. Once your coin appears to be in excellent condition, grab a jeweler's loupe or magnifier and begin looking for errors. Double-check the date, the letter shapes in Liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." If any elements look doubled, misshapen, clipped, or oddly placed, you might be staring at a valuable error. Finally, use a small digital scale. A standard copper, nickel-clad dime should weigh 2.27 grams. Anything heavier or lighter could be a wrong planchet error, and that could mean big money. Stories of lucky find surface every year. Someone discovers a valuable 1990 dime tucked in an old wallet, hiding at the bottom of a coin jar inherited from grandparents, or even handed over as change during a quick stop at a convenience store. That's what makes the world of coin collecting so thrilling. Anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon a piece that transforms spare change into a spectacular payday. And the 1990 Roosevelt dime happens to be one of those years where the right combination of condition, rarity, and error could leave collectors offering you a fortune. Today we're diving into the world of the Roosevelt I dime from the year 1981, a tiny coin that millions of Americans have carried in their pockets, handed across counters, and dropped into jars without suspecting, even for a moment, that one special version could be worth a small fortune. So grab your magnifying glass, turn on your brightest light, and let's unravel everything you need to know about the 1981 Roosevelt dime, because your next find might just take you from 10 cents to tens of thousands of dollars. The Roosevelt dime has been part of American coinage since 1946 when it replaced the Mercury dime. It honors President Franklin Delano Roosevelt not just for steering the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, but also for founding the March of Dimes initiative which helped defeat polio. The obverse features his profile with the timeless words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," while the reverse proudly displays a torch of liberty flanked by an olive branch of peace and an oak branch of strength. By the year 1981, this classic design was so familiar that most Americans hardly glanced at dimes before spending them. But that familiarity hides the fact that not all 1981 dimes are created equal. Some are rare, unusual, and unbelievably valuable to collectors today. Let's begin with the mint mark, because it holds your first clue. Look just above the year 1981 on the coin's obverse. If you spot a P, your coin was minted in Philadelphia. A D stands for Denver, and an S means it was struck in San Francisco, home of the proof coins. These San Francisco proofs were struck on polished planchets using highly detailed dies, meant especially for collectors and not for daily spending. They show mirror-like fields and frosted designs, and if one of these somehow found its way into circulation and survived in flawless condition, it is already worth examining closely. But even rarer than proofs are mysterious mint errors, where something went wrong during the striking process that transformed a normal dime into a one-of-a-kind treasure worth far more than its face value. Mint errors can appear in several incredible forms. One rare type is the double die error, where a slightly misaligned second strike causes the design or lettering to appear awkwardly doubled. Another is the off-center strike, where part of the design is printed noticeably to one side, sometimes leaving a blank crescent of metal exposed. Most sensational of all are wrong planchet errors, where the dime is struck on a blank intended for another coin entirely, such as a copper penny or a foreign coin. These errors usually result in a different weight, strange coloration, or unexpected rim design. Each of these accidental mistakes makes the coin unique, and collectors love unique pieces, especially when a coin has also been preserved in pristine mint state condition. So how do you tell if your 1981 Roosevelt dime is truly valuable? Start by placing it under strong direct light and studying its surface carefully. A valuable coin should still exhibit strong mint luster. Look for that glittering sheen that flows in a circular pattern when you tilt the coin, called the cartwheel effect. Check Roosevelt's facial details, especially his hair, cheekbone, and jawline. If these raised high points are still sharp and unworn, you may have a mint state coin. Flip it over and study the condition of the torch flame, oak leaves, and olive leaves. If you can see crisp definition in the tiniest parts, you're on the right track. Look at the rim, sharp, complete reading. The vertical ridges means it hasn't been worn down by circulation. Once your coin passes the condition test, use a jeweler's loupe or strong magnifier to check for error indicators. Look at every letter in Liberty and In God We Trust. Do any appear thick or doubled? Examine the date closely. Are any numbers shadowed or distorted? Inspect the entire rim for signs of an off-center strike or clipped metal. If possible, weigh your dime using a digital scale. A standard copper-nickel 1981 dime should weigh 2.27 grams. If it's heavier or lighter, it may be a wrong planchet strike, exactly the type of error that makes collectors go wild and auctions skyrocket. Around the United States, collectors tell exciting stories about finding valuable 1,981 dimes in places like junk drawers, piles of spare change, rolls from the bank, coin-counting machine rejects, or even tucked inside old purses handed down from parents and grandparents. That's the magic of this hobby. Fortune sometimes appears where we least expect it. So what looks like a worthless 10-cent coin could actually be a desperately sought-after rarity. Today we are diving deep into a tiny 10-cent piece that most people never stop to examine, yet it could secretly be worth more than a brand new car. That's right, we're talking about the Roosevelt One dime from the year 1980, a coin that's been rattling around in American pockets, piggy banks, cash registers, and dusty jars for more than 40 years. Most people think of it as just another dime to spend on gum or toss into a fountain, but what if I told you that a rare version of this very coin could be worth a jaw-dropping fortune? It's time to grab your magnifying glass, flip on your brightest light, and get ready because the secrets of the 1980 Roosevelt dime just might make you run straight to your spare change collection tonight. The Roosevelt dime has been a symbol of American strength, resilience, and compassion since it was first minted in 1946, designed in honor of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president who guided the United States through the Great Depression and World War II and helped support the fight against polio through the historic March of Dimes. On the front of every dime is his dignified profile with the proud word Liberty, and on the back burns a torch flaming with freedom flanked by an olive branch symbolizing peace and an oak branch representing strength. While this design remains nearly unchanged even today, not every dime is created equal, and the year 1980 produced some of the most mysterious and valuable examples ever discovered by collectors. It all begins with a tiny letter called the mint mark, located just above the year on the obverse. AP means the dime was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, AD means Denver, and an S indicates San Francisco, where highly detailed proof coins were made with mirror-like backgrounds meant only for collectors. If somehow one of these proof coins entered circulation by accident and remained untouched since 1980, it would already be valuable. But even more exciting than proof coins are the true gems of the hobby, mint errors, strange accidents that happened as the coin was being struck. These oddities slipped through quality control unnoticed and today sell for incredible prices to serious collectors because each one is completely unique. So what kinds of errors should you be hunting for on your 1980 Roosevelt dime? One type is the double die error, where the design, date, or lettering, like "In God We Trust," appears slightly doubled due to a second misaligned strike. Another is the off-center strike, where the coin wasn't properly centered when it was pressed, leaving part of the design crammed to one side and often a crescent-shaped blank on the other. Most wild of all are wrong planchet strikes, where the dime was mistakenly stamped on a blank meant for another coin, such as a foreign currency or a penny, resulting in an unusual color, weight, or thickness. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly rare and collectors will pay fortunes for them, especially if the coin is also preserved in sparkling mint state condition. Now let's talk about determining value. Step 1 is condition. Hold your 1980 dime under bright light and tilt it slowly. Does it shimmer with that cartwheel shine associated with freshly minted coins? If so, you may have a mint state example. Look closely at Roosevelt's hair. Can you see crisp, distinct curls, or is everything smooth and worn? His cheek and jawline should be sharply defined, not flattened. Flip the coin over and examine the torch. The oak and olive leaves should be deeply etched and fine. Check the edge. A valuable dime retains bold reading, the tiny ridges, rather than smoothing from circulation. Next, it's time for your magnifying glass. Look carefully for doubling of letters or numbers, warped edges, or missing areas of design indicating clipping. Finally, test the weight. A proper copper, nickel-clad dime from 1980 should weigh about 2.27 grams. Anything heavier, lighter, or appearing a different thickness or color might be that rare wrong planchet strike you're hoping for. Across the country, people have found valuable Roosevelt dimes in the most unexpected places: an old tin buried in a closet, in rolls picked up from the bank, forgotten in a childhood piggy bank, or handed back in change at a gas station. That's what makes coin collecting so addictive. Anyone, anywhere, at any moment might stumble upon the next great discovery. And the excitement of knowing a rare 1980 dime could still be hiding in circulation right now is enough to send coin hunters of all ages scrambling to inspect every dime in sight. So before you absent-mindedly spend that dime dated 1980, stop and take a long look, because if you end up discovering a flawless mint condition or rare mint error version of the 1980 Roosevelt dime, the value of that tiny coin could soar all the way up to a staggering $78,000.